reported it was in no way a bribery to skew them in their favor, reacting to accusations from the flag bearer of the opposition NDC that the media engagement was held to divert attention from their manifesto launch. The Bawumia campaign stressed that each political party has its plan and that the engagement was part of the plan of their campaign. Here is Anokye Akabo, a campaign aide, speaking to Star News.
I'm a bit surprised that the former president would make such a comment. And then we launched our manifesto, and a week later they launched their manifesto. Will the same logic apply for the former president, as he claims, happened in respect of the media encounter? I mean, these are curious questions we should ask. The MPP as a political party has its predetermined plan. We have our own program. We have our calendar of activities. And we do not design or draw our programs with the opposition or former president in mind. We are completely focused. These are all attempts to de-campaign our candidate, and we are not going to be deterred by that at all. And we think that our media encounter was excellent. The candidate got the opportunity to explain things more clearly to people, and many of the thorny issues that he adequately responded to. And I think that so far the feedback has been phenomenal, and we are very happy, and we hope that before the December election, we will afford the candidate another opportunity to engage the country at some of these specific events. And the fallout of the encounter have been largely positive, and all those who have spoken and those who have watched it, and even if you listen to the interactions that has come out as a result of this encounter, you would only but agree that it offered Bawumia the opportunity to clarify most of the naughty points and the policy misrepresentations and some of the lies that have been put out. And I think that generally it has been good. For former president, I'm really sometimes at a loss with the way he is communicating lately in the public.
Anokye Akabo is a campaign aide of the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign. Now, away from the New Patriotic Party, let's cross over to the camp of the Movement for Change, where founder and leader Anokye is vowing to transform the economy in 18 months when given the nod to serve as president.
I'm the president. I'm of your yes, yes. And to whether the Banism, Monimidada, when him said, Sam Casamaya, Namama Chansa, now I'm the president. Within 1.5 to 2 years, Ghana is my show was school. As a son of my Alan, my chancellor, men and reward the formula solution. I make a man. It's also say, I said, when you start running, did you have who got your one? You're told yet. What's my second the whole day? You're talking, and now you know, get your Tom said. Get your Tom said. Ghana is a Cassam, I say, opportunity. One baby a dollar. One baby a says, can I go do? It is a Cassam, economy, anything. I don't think, and I nipa stand on bottom of Salamba. The Bible says the economy.
That was Anokye there. But from the Movement for Change, let's come into the studios and have a conversation in the camp of the CPP. And seated opposite me is lawyer Yao Anokye. Lawyer, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming as well. If Alan says that if he's given the nod to rule, he will need 18 months to change the country. How many months will you use to change the fortunes of this country if you're given the nod to rule?
I believe that the very moment I start my work as the president of this republic, Ghanaians will begin to feel a fundamental change.
So there are no timelines to that?
No, that very day.
The immediate day you are sworn in?
No, that very day you will see a change. And I believe that after talking to me, you would appreciate it.
Okay.
Yep.
But how long have you been a member of the CPP?
That's a very good question. Do you know the CPP was Kwame Nkrumah's party? In 1979, during the Third Republic, it was called the People's National Party. I was in elementary school, Form 4. Today you will call it JHS 3.
Okay.
And I was 15 years. And I was the only youngest, the only 15-year-old person in Ghana who was a card-bearing member of the party.
Okay.
And the only one in the country of all parties. Because of the fact that people who were Nkrumahs in the Ashanti region identified me as that small boy who knew almost everything about Nkrumah.
Okay.
As a result, let us make a party card for him. And then in 1991, when we had the wind that the country was going to transform into a civilian one, we formed what you call our heritage in the house of Alhaji Imoru Igala. That day, the chairman was Alhaji Mohammed Fall.
Okay.
And I was a first-year student at the Ghana School of Law. And I was a founding member. The following year, the CPP, unfortunately, splintered itself into so many groups. And I was a member of the People's Heritage Party. By that time, I was in London.
Okay.
When I returned to the country in 2008, I was the party's candidate for Takwa Nsayem constituency. So I have always been a member of the Convention People's Party.
I see.
At all material times.
That's a very interesting duration. But why have you been in the background for so long? I mean, didn't you think of taking up any leadership position?
I had a leadership position in the party.
Okay.
In fact, in the last administration, I was a member of the party's Central Committee, which was the biggest decision-making organ in the party, just next to Congress. And I was the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But I'm asking that because, ever since Ghana moved away from that one-party state to a multi-party system, people would expect, or those who knew you from back then would expect that you'd be very active on the national level. Don't you agree?
That one is true, considering that even when I was at the University of Ghana, I was a very active member of both of the SRC and the National Union of Ghana students.
Okay.
But I believe that destiny, divine providence, everything coming together, I would say all things have their time. There's time for everything. In any case, if you can imagine that many years ago, somebody like Aka was our presidential candidate, who because of the Great Alliance had to join Kofuor. Look at his age and his stature. And at that time, you couldn't have imagined a person like me being in that position.
Okay.
Then we had somebody like Professor George Hagan. He taught me at the University of Ghana. So you couldn't have imagined that I would be ahead of him. Then Agude came, Dr. Paco Sindom. During his time, I was the parliamentary candidate for Takwa Nsayem.
Okay.
So you will see that I was growing.
Okay.
I was growing systematically, and this is my time.
So you wanted to go through the process before getting to the national level?
I've gone through the mill, and now I believe that I'm grilled. Yes.
What is your assessment of the CPP in recent times?
Well, if you say in recent times, I would say that we are on top of the world. And the reason why...
Top of the world?
Top of the world, because of where your question is coming from.
Okay.
Because in recent times means that very recent, let's say this year. And I'm saying that because, you see, Ghanaians voted for the NDC, led by Mahama, and then voted him out. He's itching to come back. Ghanaians voted for the MPP. And you realize that the previous election, their percentage really dwindled. And now people are looking for an alternative. Because of that, all those who were against the CPP, giving it the tag, or CPP there Yam Kokrafour Party, CPP there Emma Pawada, without talking about the need for a third force, are now saying that we need an alternative. And that alternative must not be Mahama. So that ipso facto propels the CPP to the summit, coupled with the fact that as I sit here, I have been championing the cause of Nkrumah. I have been telling people about what Kwame Nkrumah did and the fact that it is possible for Ghanaians to go back again. Mm-hmm. And again, the third reason why CPP becomes very popular. And as a result, in the year 2024 election, we are going to have two entities. So the choice will be so easy for people to make. It will be CPP and the rest. The Convention People's Party and the rest. You see that when we're choosing between a defined entity and then an entity that is not named, it is easy to talk about the identified one, the named one. And why I'm saying this is not a joke. I'm saying this because Rawlings ruled the country for 19 years. And he laid that foundation that private sector is the engine of growth.
Okay.
And because of that philosophy, all of Kwame Nkrumah's enterprises, which were actually giving jobs to Ghanaians, and then which made it such that we would not rely on foreign currency. We didn't need, you see, if you produce sugar in the country, car tires in the country, cars, whatever that you can use dollar to purchase from outside, if you are producing in your own country, would you worry, as Alan Martin was saying a short while ago, that he won't say, normal boa cost dollar, no, and he didn't give us the solution. The solution is very simple. If you cut away or you completely stop imports and you rely on exports, definitely you wouldn't need to think about the dollar. Okay. And because you are exporting, you would automatically be bringing in dollars into your economy. The private sector as the engine of growth was the philosophy or the political foundation of the PNDC, NDC, which was unfortunately followed by President Kufuor. And then I would say that MPP under Akufo-Addo has also followed the same thing. And indeed, when he told Ghanaians that there is going to be something called one district, one factory, everybody thought that this man was going to set up factories just as Kwame Nkrumah did. What they did not know was that both MPP and NDC have the same economic philosophy, and that is to the effect that private sector is a engine of growth, which has failed the country because you do not expect a private person, I wouldn't want to mention names, but we've got so many rich people in the country. There is no rich man in the country, in this country, who would be able to buy 3 airplanes capable of establishing a new Ghana Airways Corporation, able to convey passengers from Ghana to the US or Dubai or anywhere. It is always the internal ones. Also understand that even if that private person has the resources for that, you cannot compel him to go to the aviation sector. Just as the transportation, the water transport, you cannot compel them to go there. And none of them has got the money to establish a blaster line so that Ghana will be able to transport our cocoa, timber, bauxite, manganese outside. It is the state that must take the initiative, one, to set up all the massive enterprises where private sector does not have the resources to venture. And also, it is the state that must go into massive manufacturing. In fact, if you go to America and then Britain, Germany, the state has got serious enterprises manufacturing goods every now and then. If the state does that, then the private sector also comes in to support. For example, if we have the Commander Sugar Factory running, the sugar factory is there, then the private sector is a situation whereby they will be providing, let's say, transportation to cut sugar, the raw sugar, from the hinterland to the factory premises or the processed sugar to any other place that wants the sugar to buy. But to say that a private sector person can put up a massive sugar factory for the country, the answer is no, because we don't have one on the ground. CPP is the only party that has got that ideology of nationalism and nationalization. And the other two parties, backed by somebody like Alan Kyerematen. Alan Kyerematen was a trade minister under Kufuor. and the trade minister under Akufo-Addo. Why didn't we see any magic when he was there? Let me tell you, there was a man in this country called Colonel Frank George Benasco. He was an agric minister under General Champon, and he did so marvelously well to the extent that the Operation Feed Yourself led Ghana for the first time in its history to export goods to other African countries and even beyond. As a result, during the Third Republic, the 1979 Constitution, he formed a political party championing what he had done previously, talking about his past record. And Ghanaians voted for him. Out of the 140 constituencies, then he had 10. And it was third.
Talking about past records and political ideologies, you have touted a lot of achievements from Kwame Nkrumah. But in recent times, we have seen efforts, if I may put it that way, by the NPP to sort of discredit the efforts of Kwame Nkrumah. How does that make you feel?
You see, the accounts have a saying that what
does that mean?
It means that if you cannot carry your goods, the load you are carrying, always you have this rag that you coil in order to support you so that it doesn't itch your head. Anytime you have a problem with yourself, you begin to blame either the load or that. And then anytime you lose a football match, whenever we lose a football match, that's why we blame the coach or the referee. But when we win, you don't have any problem with your coach or the referee. You always think that the referee was so good. You see, how do you blame Kwame Nkrumah or castigate Nkrumah when, in fact, it was only the few things left by Nkrumah that the nation is surviving on? It was Nkrumah who built the Akosombo Dam. Nkrumah built the Akosombo Dam. And it is Akosombo Dam that is sustaining electricity now, the biggest provider of electricity. And if you did not know, let me tell you, Ghana is one of only 2 countries in the world, in Africa. The other one is South Africa. Okay. That their national electricity grid supports electricity to 80% or more. Only Ghana and South Africa. You can't find it in Ivory Coast. You can't find it in Nigeria. The Kainji Dam supports only a few states. And then also, General Champon, who ruled for just 6 years, was able to build a pond dam. You haven't built any dam. And then you come and insult another person. Look at the the Accra Motor Road that the man did for us in 1965. Since his overthrow, no government has added even 1 inch to it. So how do you come and then you castigate the person? There is one thing many Ghanaians did not know. Today I'm going to emphasize it because I've said it elsewhere. Okay. And so I'm happy you asked me this question. Before we had our independence, the country was a colonial economy. And when I say a colonial economy, what I mean by that is that it was just an extractive one. Everything here was extracted by the colonial master, if I should call him colonial master, and sent elsewhere in order to add value to same. Brought it back at a very exorbitant price for us to buy. It was Nkrumah who laid the foundation for industrialization in the country. I want to say it. Let people who would phone in challenge me. Before Kwame Nkrumah became the leader of this country, we didn't have even 1 factory. We didn't have 1 factory. So all the factories that we had, which were put into disrepair or sold, were built by Kwame Nkrumah. Everything initiated by Kwame Nkrumah, and subsequently his son, General Champon. So without Nkrumah, there wouldn't have been an economy for Ghana. Second, without Kwame Nkrumah, the country would have divided into 4 by now. We had a colony made up of Western territories. Western, that is Sekendi Takoradi, the capital. Then Central, Cape Coast, and then Eastern, Accra. Transvolta, Togoland, now Volta region and Oti was not part of the colony. Okay. Ashanti was not part of it. Ashanti was a protectorate, and then the Northern Territories not part of it. So the first parties that we formed, the very first one, UGCC, the idea of independence imagined, anticipated by them, was an independence for the colony without the inclusion of Ashanti and the rest. And later on, when the UGCC froze itself up, the NLM, National Liberation Movement, that came in, wanted independence or at least federation for Ashanti. And then the Northern People's Party, the Northerners were saying that the colonial masters didn't give them education. And so they wouldn't be part of an independence that would make them subservient to their own black people, their own brothers. So they were going away. And then Transvoter Togoland also said that we are going to join Togo. It was only Kwame Nkrumah's Convention People's Party that faced candidates everywhere in the country. And today, we have one country called Ghana. How can you insult such a person?
I see. Now, what is your affiliation to the People's Redemption Movement?
My affiliation to the People's Redemption Movement. The People's Redemption Movement, by its name, is just a movement, and an unregistered movement. You listen to me. You see, as you sit here, I know you are talking to a lawyer. You believe that. Yes, in law and in the courtroom, you cannot sue an entity that has not got a legal capacity.
Okay.
So I can sue you because you are a human being. The moment that person dies, you cannot sue him. That is the reason why when somebody is in court and he dies, we file a motion to substitute the person. If the PRM, simply called Perimo, has not been registered and for that matter endorsed by the EC, you cannot talk about it. But if I should explain why I was their leader, I would tell you to the effect that we found the Convention People's Party full of troubles, court cases. I can name about 4. And we realized that the party would not be able to field a candidate this year.
Okay.
So we decided, the very serious Nkrumahs among us, and those who believe that no human being will live forever. And at my age, I believe my star must shine before I go to the grave. We came together and formed the PRM as a group that would field a presidential candidate and parliamentary candidates in order to keep alive the flame of Nkrumahism. Before we could register, luckily, the leadership in the CPP was able to reorganize itself and to ensure that people will go for nomination forms. So I went for a nomination form. As I sit here, nobody sacked me from the CPP. I didn't resign from the CPP. I paid my dues. I was very smart. I paid my dues up to 2025. And that was why I was not disqualified at the vetting stage. Because the vetting had 1 or 2 lawyers on board. And the rest, somebody like Dr. Enchidan. So please, he's not a small boy in constitutional law or anything. So as I sit here as a de facto presidential candidate, it means that I have at all material times been a CPP man. And even the PRM is going to serve as a pressure group within the party, which is going to assist us in the campaign trail.
But if you identified confusion amongst the CPP, why wasn't the urgent need to have all of these issues resolved before moving on to form another movement? By
my position as the party's chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, I was the party's lawyer.
Of CPP?
Of CPP. I was the party's lawyer. And I saw case upon case, always building up. Always building up. So if you
think it was too overwhelming?
It wasn't too overwhelming, but I believed, and at the time I thought that we would not be in a position to contest the 2024 election. And what I did ultimately is going to help the CPP. If I had stayed there, always going to court, trying to help the party, I wouldn't have been able to become that media friendly where I've utilized my time such that in Ghana, almost every radio and TV station knows me. And that's why I'm sitting right in front of you. Otherwise, this August station wouldn't have brought me here. You don't bring obscure people here. You bring people who are already celebrities. So because of the Perimo spirit, I was able to champion Nkrumahism everywhere. And at a certain point, now I am coming with all the things I have learned everywhere, and then the massive support I have gained. If you can imagine that about a few weeks ago, I went to another station. I wouldn't want to mention it here for professional reasons. And 2 weeks after the program, my little boy at KNUST sent something to me, a snapshot saying that, "Daddy, do you know that you have made a record? The thing you did 2 weeks ago on that TV station has got almost 1 million views. And it was about a talk on Nkrumah. I'm bringing this massive support to the Convention People's Party. Please, Chinua Achebe says something. He says it is only when you say chi strongly that your chi also says chi for you. Sorry, it is only when you say yes strongly that your chi means your spirit, will also say yes for you. So when I'm saying the truth, I'm not praising myself. Okay. As I sit before you, when it comes to people who are trending on social media.
You are one of them.
Anokye from Point is not just one of them, but the top 3 in the country. The top 3 in the country. And if you consider that the youth, that forms over 70% of their electorate, are also those who are on social media, then I believe that it will be an abuse of language to say that with Anokye Frimpong on CPP ticket, we'll continue to record the zeros that we have been doing. No.
I mean, you just talked about the youth, so let's just stay on that subject before I move further. What are your plans for the youth?
Massive plans for the youth, just as Kwame Nkrumah did. Massive. You see, at the moment, the Statistical Service and then ISE, Institute of Statistical, Social and then Economic Research at the University of Ghana, they are all saying that we have about 2 million or more unemployed people in this country. Let me tell you, there was this famous British leader of the Labour Party that made a famous statement in his book, Making Our Way, that anytime you talk about unemployment, the implication is that the country has set up industries everywhere, and we do not get people to operate them. As a result, you can talk of unemployment. But where the country, and this is a very important statement I am making, so let me repeat. Neil Kinnock says that when you talk about an unemployment issue in the country, to the mind of any sensible person, you are referring to a situation whereby the country has set up so many industries and has ensured that everybody has got work to do, to the extent that there is a spillover. The industries are looking for people and we don't get the people. So you talk about unemployment. But where the country's agri sector is not developed, the industry is not developed, transport sector is not developed, all the sectors capable of employing people are closed down, completely frozen. You do not talk about unemployment, but rather it should ginger you set to bring them up so that all the youth will get jobs to do. When I became the president of Ghana, as Akufo-Addo's time, they went to China, took about $15 billion. I didn't see what happened to that money. Now they are looking for $3 billion from the IMF, and they are giving it to them by installment. All that they will use the money for is to support the balance of payment deficit. When Anokye Frimpong becomes the president of Ghana, and I know people are listening to me, an amount of $15 billion, in any case, I won't go to the IMF. When I receive this amount, I will push everything into the agri sector. You go to Ejira, Nkuranza, Techiman, that enclave, we are going to launch what you call a green revolution in the country to ensure that national service. You know, there was a time I saw something in the street, I almost cried. You know, somebody, as you are sitting there, having nurtured his child at the university. The child comes out, and then the national service, they put him at the police service or something like that. Then they give him a uniform. He stands in the road directing traffic. Please, have you trained that man as a policeman to be in the road? That is very dangerous. Anokye Frimpong is going to set up the State Farms Corporation and push thousands of our young men and women into agri. We are going to plant or grow our own food. There will be no importation of food, no importation of poultry products, no importation of beef. Everything is going to be done here. And you would doubt me only where the resources for doing those things are not available. we still have our land. The land that we had in Nkrumah's time, please, not even an inch has been taken away by Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, or Togo. Okay. And the C2, the Gulf of Guinea, has not taken away an inch of our land. The land is still there. They haven't utilized it. And then factories like Kwame Nkrumah's jute factory. Is it not so sad that during the colonial era, Ghana was the world's leading producer of cocoa, and the British set up a farm in Bangladesh to produce jute in order to manufacture the cocoa sacks, because they had the cocoa farms in Ghana, and their other colony, Bangladesh, didn't have any industry, so they made the people to go into agriculture. When Nkrumah came, he put up a jute factory in Kumasi. Now the factory is staying idle, and we import jute bags using hard currency. And that is why cocoa board is always suffering. I'm going to revive the factory. I will revive whatever that Nkrumah put up. So back to your question, the youth will have work to do. Once there are industries, what are you talking about employment?
Okay, you have talked so much about agriculture, but let's look at education. For instance, the free SHS program, is that something you're going to continue, or you scrap that off?
Why do I have to scrap off free SHS? It was Nkrumah who brought free education to Ghana. So if I am his disciple, why do I scrap it off? But let me tell you, very brilliant people in the country, like Professor Vanna De Mensah, Professor Akilapa Soya, and others, and even Nana Akufo-Addo's own finance minister have said that the free SHS is not sustainable. After all, education is not the only sector of the economy. It is a very good thing for any country that wants to develop. The fault with it, which I'm going to correct so easily, is what I'm going to illustrate to you.
Okay.
My children, all my children attended a certain school at Dansuman. I won't mention it. But the fee I will mention was about 5,000 cedis a term. And that's where all my children went before they went to the university. The last one is in the secondary school. Now, the government fee is just around 2,000 Ghana cedis. So if parents like me can push our children to private schools, primary schools, where the fee is, let's say, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and beyond, and we can pay without qualm or question, what shows that such parents cannot pay their children's fees in SHS. So what I'm going to do is just like visiting a hotel room. There are one room, maybe 300 Ghana. In the same building, a room may be 600 Ghana. Please, if you are like me, go to the 200 or 300 Ghana. Another person, like the one who founded this company, will go to the 600 one. So what I'm trying to say is that there is going to be nothing like across-board, free-for-all, free education. But we are going to give free education to the poor, the needy, the handicapped. And so when you are filling your forms in order to enter secondary school, there is a portion remarks official by the headmaster. He is going to specify the fee that that school charges. And the moment and almost all the private schools in Accra charge higher than the government schools. Then in the villages, the private school charge lower. And so we are going to make it as a rule that where the school that the child is coming from is taking a fee higher than the government fee, it means that that parent can pay school fees. When we do that, we are going to have about half of the secondary school population paying fees.
Okay, so
as a result, it is going to improve their feeding there. Now, the feeding has deteriorated. WCs break down, and then there's nobody to fix it because government is not able to tackle this Herculean tax. I am going to make the tax so easy that those who can afford it, it's not going to be obligatory.
So
it's compulsory.
In essence, you're going to have the policy reviewed.
The policy review so that the poor, the needy, so if you use the word poor, it's a very big insult. You say that the needy in society, that ameliorates it a bit. The needy in society will be aided by the government. And that was what Kwame Nkrumah did. This was Nkrumah's policy. when he got independent, he realized that the Northerners had not received any education. So Kwame Nkrumah created what we call the Northerners Award. So anybody who was a Northerner anywhere in the country, including Vice President Bawumia and then Mahama, they went to school free, even when their fathers were ministers. And my father was just a cocoa farmer, and I was paying fees in Kumasi High School and Secondary St. John's. Bawumia's father, who was a minister and had got plenty money, was enjoying free education at Tamale Secondary School. Today you sit there and Bawumia and Napo tell you that Nkrumah was a bad man. Nkrumah, when you said, are you not cursing yourself? When your father when you were a minister anywhere in the world, you can't be counted among the poor. And my father was a poor man, but because he was an Akan, his children paid fees in school. Your father was a minister, but because he was a Northerner, he went to school free. But that is not our topic for the day. The topic is that Nkrumah partitioned it. Cocoa farmers too had free education for their children. We called it CMB scholarship. Then the third category of scholarship was those who were brainy. It was given to them. Now mine is that almost 70 years after independence, the Northerners have catch up with the Southerners. If they can produce vice presidents and presidents, they've caught up with us. And so we are the same. So we are going to target the needy in society, whether you are coming from the north or the south, so that when you are a lawyer, you don't expect that your child will go to school free. A judge, when you are a medical doctor, when you are working at Talo, when you are working at ECG, Bank of Ghana, why should your child go to school free? When you are received, and then also, I'm concluding on that. If we are able to determine that your pay, your salary at the end of the month is about 10,000 cedis or more, that parent, why should your child go to school free? When the Kayaye woman at the Makwala market, her child is also going to school. That one, the second one, should go to school free of charge.
I see.
Yes.
Let me.
So I will give it a sensible eye. Free education will be meaningful.
And you're sure that you're going to be identifying the needy students who need the policy?
It is so easy in Ghana. You know it, that people are running away, hiding away from the schools called the Saito or government schools. And even there, the fee is just about 100 cedis or less. People are not able to pay. So it is so easy to come out with the policy that everyone who goes to Saito or the government school, you are going to have automatic free education. That is where the basis, all the needy people, all the handicapped people send their children. Then two, as I told you, where the child is coming from, the child is not coming from space. He's coming from a school, a private school in Ghana or a government school in Ghana. And Ministry of Education has the burden of just helping every assembly, the number of schools over there and the fee chargeable. It's so easy to identify. Okay. What is the ministry doing there?
Let's move away from education and talk about this very interesting topic. When you become president, will you abolish the August 4 holiday?
When I become president, will I abolish it? But you should know that there shouldn't be an August 4 holiday. So it's a surprise. There shouldn't be. Why should there be? Why should there be? Because the person who brought it has not been able to defend it. Okay. He has not been able to justify it. He appears on air, and I mean President Akufo-Addo, to tell us that it was not Nkrumah who was the founder of the country, and that
Nkrumah wasn't the only one.
The only one, and that it started somewhere generations ahead of him. And he mentions the Aborigines Rights Protection Society. It was founded in 1897 by Mensah Saba, Kisley Hayford, and others. And when they went to Britain, their sole aim and mandate, which immediately ceased when it was accomplished, was to fight the Lands Bill and prevent it from becoming an ordinance or law. And so when they succeeded, the whole thing froze up. And it was not a nationalist organization to lead the country to independence. So it died naturally. Then the National Congress of Britain West Africa was formed. The aim was that all intelligentsia from British West Africa should bring themselves together in the anticipation that one day, if we get independence, all the 4 British territories, Ghana, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria would form one federation. They themselves realized that because the countries were not contiguous to each other, you know, Ghana is separated by Benin, Togo and Benin before you get to Nigeria. And then between here and Gambia, even Gambia is in a certain country's womb. So it got frozen up. And then the United Gold Coast Convention, which was formed in 1947, froze itself and sealed itself completely after the abysmal performance in the 1951 election. So how do you say that these people were founders of the country?
So that holiday is needless?
It's needless.
Okay.
And no, madam, we started on the premise that, but for Kwame Nkrumah, we wouldn't have had this country called Ghana.
Okay.
If Nkrumah had not come in, the UGCC would have given us independence, all right, but it would have been independence for the colony. And I have mentioned the colony, Eastern region, Western region, and Greater Accra region, excluding Volta region, OT, and all others. Right. So if somebody gives you independence, gives you national flag, gives you a name, national name, is he not the founder of the republic?
Okay. So to answer my question, you are going to abolish that holiday?
That very day that you hear me being baptized as the president of Ghana, you will know that, and it will be January. Thank God it will be January 7th. So the subsequent August, people will go to work. If those who have to go to farm will go to farm. You understand?
I understand.
And I'll bring back the Republic Day.
Okay.
July 1.
July 1. I see. I understand you. Now, you were the member of parliament for, or the...
No, I've never been a member of parliament.
Candidate
for
Taquansua.
Yeah.
And you couldn't secure that seat. How confident are you that you're going to win the December polls?
Because at that time, people were saying the CPP and Kokrafo party.
Okay. But now, do you think the party identifies with the youth?
Madam, let me tell you something. President Mahama was born in 1958. Nobody has called him an old man. Vice President Bawumia was born in 1963. Nobody has called him an old man. I was born in 1964.
Okay.
So who will call me an old man? And then also at that time, that cry for a change had not come up.
Okay.
It had not, 2008. People had not seen the need to jettison the two parties.
So you think now there's a need for a third
everybody is talking about the alternative.
Okay.
And the alternative is what I'm going to fail.
But you realize that it's just about less than 100 days to the elections. You haven't even launched your manifesto. We don't know too much about your policies. How are you going to compete with these top two
It's
political
so easy.
parties?
There is a precedent there.
Okay.
Just recently, that young guy who won the election in Senegal, Faye, he campaigned in less than 2 months. He won.
Okay.
And then Zuma, South Africa, he broke away from the ANC. 2 months, he won the election. He had 15% of the total vote cast. Even there, people were not saying they didn't need ANC again. So give the Convention People's Party, led by Yao Anokye Frimpong.
And you say you are the de facto presidential candidate.
Because within a week, you will see that I will become the presidential candidate. And then you will see a change. Look, when God wants to bring a change, he does extraordinary things. So God is not bound, as I'm telling you, by time. I'm not bound by time. I can use one man to campaign. Look, 1979, Dr. Hilal Liman became the presidential candidate of the PNP at a time when Alhaji Morugara had been disqualified. He used 3 months to campaign, and he won. He became the president of the Third Republic. I am going to sweep, and they should listen to me, the entire Western region, Western North, Central region, Volta region, and share the rest of the country with them. Because I'm going to tell Bawumia that his people will vote for him. He knows his people.
You think only Northerners will vote for Bawumia?
Please, I haven't said Northerners or no. He knows his people.
Okay.
And my people too will vote for me. I don't want to mention the category of the people I'm talking about. Those people, in Kumasi, we have a certain language. Okay. Bawumia bedi ni lane mu.
Now so we do lane.
Ya wanochi bedi ni lane mu. Ni lane no na make kambani. You will see
Western, North, Volta.
Western, North, Central, Volta. That's my lane.
You are sweeping all of those.
Sweeping.
Okay.
Massively. Then I split Ashanti with MPP.
Okay.
Do you know my name?
Lawyer Anokye Frimpong.
And then they mentioned you meant the vice president. And what is the vice president's name?
Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Very good. So Mahamudu Bawumia, and then Yaw Anokye Frimpong. Please don't let me go far.
Lawyer, we are wrapping up.
Yes, very soon he will know where he belongs.
I see.
Yes.
In the next 1 minute,
yes.
Tell the people of Ghana why they should vote for the CPP after everything is done and dusted and you're made the presidential candidate of that party.
Please, it's easy.
Okay.
We are tired of MPP and NDC. The whole nation is tired of MPP and NDC, full of unfulfilled promises. And then, let's say, my brother, the one I like so much, Mahama, telling you that there's something called 24-hour economy.
So you don't like Bawumia, you like Mahama?
Oh, I have a reason, a personal reason.
Okay.
Yes, a personal reason. Now, there can never be anything called a 24-hour economy. If you open the banks in the night, who is that customer who is coming to deposit money in the night? You understand? So it can never work. Okay. And then the judges, if they sit in the night, which litigant or lawyer will come in the night to the courtroom? So it's not true. And then saying that you pay all the fees for first-year students. It's like free SHS. You know the meaning. It is just a way of getting the new voters, 18 years, 19 years, the new voters. Because that is where you get them. So tell them something that would be so sweet in their eyes. But
so Mahama is just sweet talking.
Just as NPP.
Okay.
Because NPP had nothing for this country and where we are wallowing in poverty.
Right.
And then another thing I will tell the whole people of Ghana is that NPP and NDC would never be able to renegotiate anything multinational in the country, like the Jubilee Field. It's not operating because Ghana is getting less than 10% of the catchment. Anokye is going to renegotiate everything based on international best practices. If I didn't say this, I would have done a big harm to myself. I'm going to pursue all corrupt people. I've got a black arrow for any person who has misused this country now and then. I'm going to pursue them. Those who have to be jailed will be jailed. Those who have to be put in any manner or form will be treated that way. MPP cannot do that to itself. NDC cannot do that because they don't have that track record. But anybody who is having a government, who has bought government property, please wait. When Anokye comes, you are going to lose all.
Do you have some names offhand?
So easily, you don't mention them. They know themselves.
I need to mention about 3 of them.
Oh, the good thing is that when we come to power, their own drivers and wives and girlfriends and subordinates will give us the names. And as a lawyer, I've got everything at Lands Commission. Every property is registered. Accra, Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi. When you go to Lands Commission, look, even if you register it in the name of your grandmother, what I know is, for example, cantonments. It's a government enclave. So government is coming back to repossess it. I don't care whose office is there.
Lawyer, thank you very much.
Achimota Forest, it's for the government. I don't care whose property is there. I hope you understand.
I absolutely understand you. You're still listening to Start Today. And this has been the campaign trail. I've been sitting with the flag bearer hopeful, or the de facto flag bearer of the CPP, Lawyer Anokye Frimpong. Thank you so much for coming once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're still listening to Start Today.
Start Today, first, fast, and credible.
It's still Start Today. Up next is sports with my colleague Benjamin Yamwa. Bengazi, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tutua Danso. And in sports, the head coach for the Black Stars, Otto Addo, this afternoon announced his 23-man squad for the upcoming AFCON qualifiers against Angola and Niger. Now, the squad, however, did not include Captain Andre Ayew, who is currently without a club. Now, other players who were also omitted in the squad includes Ernest Niama, Fosna Wankwa, Salih Samed, and Gideon Mensah, amongst others. Now, let's take a listen to the coach announcing his squad for the qualifier.
We have Joseph Wolcott from Crawley Town. We have Frederick Asari from Asante Kotoko. Going to the defenders, we have Alidi Seydu from Stadran. We have Tariq Lamte from Brighton and Hove Albion. We have Alexander Jiku from Fenerbahce Istanbul. We have Abdul Mumin from Rayo Vallecano. We have Mohamed Salisu from AS Monaco. We have Jerome Opoku from Başakşehir, Istanbul. We have Ebenezer Anand from Ovkai Belgrade, and then we have Kingsley Schindler from Samsung Sport. In the midfield, we have Mohamed Kudus from West Ham United.
Meanwhile, head of public relations and strategy at the GFA, Neil Armstrong Motagbe, has thrown his weight behind the Black Stars head coach Otoado on his 23-man squad called up for the AFCON qualifiers with Angola and Niger. Coach Otoado named his full squad this afternoon, leaving out, of course, Captain Andre Ayew. Let's take a listen to Neil Armstrong Motagbe.
He's our coach. Whenever it is that we've engaged with him, whether privately or publicly, he's made it very clear that his decisions are based upon consensus with his additional coaching staff. So you've got your John Payne, you've got Fatal, you've got the other assistant coaches. And together they come to collective decisions based upon what their plans are, based upon what they perceive as being the current form and status of the players that are at their disposal. Mind you, he keeps saying that there are so many players and some of the decisions are very, very close. So it's sometimes okay where you see some contentions as to why he took this guy over and above that other person. But at the end of the day, I keep saying that he has a job to do.
Now, a group calling itself the New Ghana Social Justice Forum has accused Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf of embezzlement of funds regarding the African Games and the GBC coverage payment issues. Now, President of the New Ghana Social Justice Forum, Yahya Al-Hassan, speaking at a press conference this afternoon, called on the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, to sack the Sports Minister and has petitioned all embassies to disregard all visa protocol letters from the government until the minister is sacked.
The sports minister, we all know what happened during the Norway visa scandal. In fact, I personally met him and I warned him for his working and his dealing with Africa origin travel and tours. The sports minister advertised African origin on the sports minister's website. I warned him and I told him this man is a fraudster. Honorable Yusuf threatened me with BNI. What was the end? We all saw how Ghana was disgraced. In Norway, we are here calling on President Akufo-Addo, the authority, with immediate effect, sack the sports minister. Enough is enough.
And let's move on. That should be it for our sports. My name is Benghazi.
Benghazi, thank you so much for this sports update. That does it for Start Today. On behalf of the entire production team led by Eko Anand Prince, Asian Benjamin Saki, Edem Kojo, and Emmanuel Donko for making this stream a possibility. Thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow, God willing, with your latest news and sports update. I am Titu Adan, so have a good evening.